If I only have to use one word to describe this novel, then that word will be epic. Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of the Harry's Book Cafe. Today let's talk about Larry McMurtry's epic of a novel, Lonesome Dove. In the introduction I said if I can only use one word to describe this novel, and that word will be epic. But I thought about it, why restrict myself to just one word? So let me bring out the dictionary and see what other adjective that will fit perfectly for this novel. The words that I can think of is amazing, grand, fantastic, brutal, absolutely brutal, violent, callous, but perhaps seems a little unlikely, given all the adjectives I've given so far. The word that fits the novel most perfectly is exquisite. Let me explain. So, with just under 1,000 pages, this novel, this Lonesome Dove, is the longest novel I have read so far this year, and it is just phenomenal of a book. Let me tell you a little bit about the story, but before I go on, if you haven't already, please subscribe to this channel and give us a like. It really does help a new channel like mine to grow and bring more contents of book reviews, rankings, recommendations in different locations in the world to you. So please feel free to give us a thumb up and subscribe. Okay, so go back to the video itself. The story is an epic cowboy story based in the West, the Wild West of America in the early 19th century, just after the Mexican War with the US. And it centers around two main protagonists. One of them is Augustus McCrae, and the other one is Woodrow Cole. But throughout the interview, I will just refer these two characters as Gus and Cole, as they are the name used by the characters in the books themselves. And prior to making this review, I have read other reviews online, and many has raised a statement, and that is, if you're gonna read just one sort of Western novel in your life, make it Lonesome Dove. And I have read, I'm not an expert in sort of Western novels, the Wild West novels, but I have read a few, like Sister Brothers and a couple others, and I have to agree with that statement. This is the best Western novel I've ever read in my life. And it's not just the Western novels. Let's not restrict ourselves to the genres, as we have not restricted ourselves to the adjectives in the beginning of the video. So this novel is perhaps one of the best, well, not perhaps, there's no perhaps about it. It is the best novel, one of the best novels I have ever read in my life. Doesn't matter what genre. And it's most definitely ending up in my top 5 all-time favorite books. Okay, so the story. So as I said, the story centers around two main characters, Gus and Cole. They are retired Texas Rangers, and through their younger lives, they were basically fighting with the Indians and Mexican bandits. After they retired to this lonely place called Lonesome Dove, as the name suggested. It's quite lonesome, and it's basically a town somewhere in Texas, in the middle of nowhere, surrounded by desert and bushes, and just very harsh, brutal environment. Very, the description of the heat was just amazing. So Lonesome Dove is actually located to the sort of on the border with Mexico, and there's many skirmishes between Mexican bandits and the inhabitants of Lonesome Dove. The book opens with a scene that's so memorable, it immediately grabs you. It opens with a scene of two pigs eating a rattlesnake. The rattlesnake was alive, so it opens with a scene of how these two pigs were eating this snake, and it sort of immediately grabs you. And then again, go back to the characters. There are so many characters. I've listened to a podcast review for this particular book, and the podcast was saying that there are A characters, which is Gus and Cole, but there's many, many, many B characters. But there are also, on top of that, C characters. And what's amazing about this book is that even the C characters are so well-rounded, so well done. You know, even the lesser characters, they are multifaceted, you know, like a diamond, and just as rare. They're so well done, every single character. Anyway, so the story is about these two Texas Rangers together with all his followers. They retire from, you know, fighting, and they settled in Lonesome Dove. They have a few cattle, and living a quite, you know, ordinary life, very ordinary life. There's not much happening. They visited the bar, they drink whiskeys, and they go to brothels, and that's pretty much the life around them. Nothing much happens until one day, one of their old comrades came back from Montana after shooting someone in Missouri or Kansas by accident. So he had to run away from the lawman, and he went back to Lonesome Dove to speak to his friends and seeking protection. And in their conversation, the guy who returned to Lonesome Dove told them during his year of traveling, he went to Montana, and he would recommend Montana to his friends. They need to get there fast because it is a beautiful land. It's amazing grazing grounds for cattle, and if they get there first or they get there early, then many of the land will belong to them before the crowd will inevitably realize just what a promising land Montana turned out to be. So Cole, one of the Texas Ranger, so the two characters, Gus and Cole, they are diametrically different. They're polar of each other. Augustus, he's someone who can't stop talking. He has a little bit of education under his belt, and he likes to talk. He likes to have argument, not because he's argumentative, but because he sees arguments as a form of entertainment or a mental exercise to keep his brain sharp. So whenever you're having a discussion with Augustus, you end up inevitably in an argument of a form. And he's a character who's always quite sanguine about life. He's laid back and enjoy the finer things of life. His philosophy is wake up, drink whiskey, sit on the porch, and just enjoy the life and watch the sun goes by and enjoy the sun. And when it gets too hot, go to the spring house and drink more whiskey in the spring house. As long as there's no rattlesnake in the spring house, he can just enjoy it. And if there are rattlesnakes, then he can shoot them. So that's his philosophy. You know, that's Gus. Enjoy finer things of life. Take it easy. Cole, on the other hand, his old comrade, he's the polar opposite. He does not speak very, very rarely. He's very tenacious, maybe is not the right adjective. He's not cantankerous, he's not grumpy, he's just not very talkative at all. So he's reserved, and he doesn't like sitting down and drinking whiskey and watch the world go by. Things like that to him would be a torture. So he likes to just work, you know, not because he wants to achieve something, but the work itself is the end and not the mean. He needs to be occupied, and it's just work, and he just goes around breaking horses and spending time with his cattle. You know, to him, that's enjoyment in life. He doesn't really talk very, very much. So you can see the two characters are completely opposite in personalities, and yet they are the best of friends. And, you know, there's lots of complicated backgrounds in there, and that makes those backstories make the characters really, really round up, as I said, multifaceted. So after their one of their comrades came back, as I said, after shooting someone in Missouri. He came back, told them about Montana, and somehow this idea of going to Montana sort of planted itself in the brain or mind of Cole. And he just can't get this idea out of his head. And acting out of character, then, you know, he's a reserved guy, but he just wanted to go to Montana. And he called Augustus to go with him. And there are so many cowboys that he recruited in Lonesome Dove. Some of the cowboys that we have already know in the beginning of the story, and some of them are brand new characters whom the writer will then introduce the backstory slowly and slowly. As I said in the beginning of this video, character A, B, and C, category A, B, and C, all of them are so well rounded up. It's incredible. They then ride into Mexico, stolen lots of cattle and horses, went back to the Texas border and just shoot for Montana. So the story is, the first 1/3 of the story is really setting up the scene about Lonesome Dove and getting us to know about the characters. And the last 2/3 of the book is about that journey from Texas all the way to Montana on the Canadian border. So it's quite a journey with tens of thousands of cattle, and I think there are probably no fewer than 15, 20 cowboys, you know, as the whole herd, and is about this journey. What's really well done, apart from the characters, is Larry McMurtry's ability to actually write the element, the brutal element of American West into the book, into the storyline. The environment itself became another character, and you learn as a reader to fear the element, to sort of respect the element, because it was absolutely brutal. You know, sometimes the sun comes out and it would just burn you to ashes in Texas, and then as you progresses further north, things becomes brutal. You know, sometimes the rain just, the description of the heavy storm, the lightnings, and the wetness of your clothes that clinging to your skin are some of the most memorable passages in a work of literature. And then when the rain gives way, sometimes hails come along, and the description of the thud of the hail hitting the grass, hitting on the bodies of the cowboys and the cattle are just so well done. It's unbelievably well done. I truly enjoy the elements as a separate character. It's really fantastically written. And during that journey, many things, good and bad, happens. You know, it tells you about the village, the towns that they walk through, and the cowboys racing through the towns to drink and to find whores. Their words, not mine. And fantastic, well done. And during that journey, they have met some truly brutal characters, and one of them is an Indian called Blue Duck, and he is just one of the most vicious of villains I have ever had the pleasure to read in a work of literature. He's brutal, he's ruthless, he's absolutely psychopathic. And by the way, Indian, Native American has always featured very, very strongly in the mind of the cowboys, including the two main characters, Gus and Cole. It always plays a fearful role in their minds, because at the time, the American West Indian is completely understandable. The depictions of those characters are just brutal, brutal, brutal. Some of the injuries, some of the punishment inflicted by white settlers by the Indians are very graphic and very, very brutal, and also very honest and truthful. So I really enjoyed it. As I said, one of the adjectives to describe this book is violent and brutal, and they are very, very true. There are so many violent, I mean, the book is violent, and very honestly violent. There's lots of fights. Some of the fights are so memorable and so well done. But I also use the word heartbroken, and that is no less true, because I won't tell you who, but many B characters were absolutely slaughtered, and you can't help but to feel heartbroken. And I'm going to tell you something that perhaps is a big spoiler, so if you don't want to know it, skip by about 10 seconds. One of the two main characters, Cole and Augustus, died at the end. I'm not going to tell you who. Anyway, so that's it. Oh, by the way, there are also two women featured in this novel, and Larry McMurtry, I don't know what his background is, but the descriptions, the portraits of those two women are some of the best depiction of a woman in the work of literature ever done. This is those two women are so well done. Is incredible. Clara, I won't tell you who she is, but she's just so memorable. Her personality would be developed so amazingly well done. And the other one is Lorena. She's also a very colorful, very well-rounded up character. You have to read this book to really find out what I'm talking about, because those two female characters are depicted to perfection, absolutely perfection. I love this book. There are parts, the heartbroken parts towards the end of the book really make me sad, really sad. I mean, melancholic doesn't even cover it. It's tearfully sad. You need to read this. You really do need to read this. Don't worry about the statement if you're going to read just one Western. If you're going to read any book at all, make sure this is one of your TBRs. It's incredible. I can't praise it. This is the best book I have read so far this year. And as I said, this is one of the best book ever in my reading. It's my top 5 ever. Incredible. Don't let the size put you off. It's worth every single page of your time. You will learn something, not in terms of knowledge, but you'll learn something that soothes your soul. Is incredible. You take that part of the story in your heart, and you are a better person for it. Just before I sent off, I just realized after reading this book that Lonesome Dove is one of the 4 quartets of the Western novels that Larry McMurtry wrote. And in fact, Lonesome Dove is the 3rd in the quartet. The first 2 books are also based on the character of Cole and Gus, but they can be read as independent novel. They don't, you not necessarily have to read the ones before to understand this one. You can read any of them as a standalone novel. Okay, guys, that's the end of the video. I feel I have rambled long enough, but please read this book. It is absolutely worth your time. It is amazing. Please trust me. And as I said before, please give this video a thumb up. It really does help. And subscribe so I can bring more contents like this to your screen wherever you are in the world. Anyway, guys, thank you for watching. Cheerio.